Welcome to another episode of Phil John's VIP. I am your host, Phil John. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on this Friday night. I hope everybody had a great week. I know that I have. And if you are out there, please join me and come in. I got some great guests coming up. I just want to let you know that. So if you haven't been watching and you want to be watching, I would think that this would be a good time for you to start tuning in. Tonight, I have a young man who I've known since he was 9 years old. He and I did a pilot together. It was a story called 10-1 from the great minds of Jared Seltzer and Rocco Burris. Fortunately, 10-1 never made it to the air, but there was some great talent that was involved in that project. And one of them happened to be this young man by the name of Meliki Hurd. Meliki is now 19 years old. So it's been 10 years, 10 whole years. It's so... It blows my mind how quickly time passes by. But Meliki has done everything from Matilda the musical on Broadway. He's done The Last OG. He can be seen in The Equalizer. And he also has a film or a short series that he's been producing, writing, and directing himself called Dipshits. And I am excited about it. He is definitely carving out a place in this industry all his own. And I'm glad I got him now because I guarantee that this young man is going to be a familiar face. So allow me to introduce to those of you who need to follow this young man, Mr. Meliki Hurd. Where are you, Meliki? We bringing him in right now. Where you at? 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 Come on, come through, come through. No technical difficulties tonight. There you
Hey,
go. There you go. What's
what's up?
going on, young man? What's happening?
What's going on? It's crazy, like being face to face. Like
Yes, 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 yes. It's because it's been like 10 years since we've been face to face. You know,
yeah,
I've probably talked to your mom more.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, for sure.
I've finally seen you. I see you on here. Jennifer, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm glad that you were able to join me. I know we had some time to talk previously this week, but as I told everyone, I said I met you when you were 9 years old, and you came in and you were adorable, and you were talented, and you were gifted, and I can definitely say that this kid is a triple threat. He sings, he writes, he dances, he produces. He a quadruple threat. Plus, 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 plus. There's so many skills that you got going on. But I wanted to just kind of interview you and then introduce people that may not know who you are and just give them a little insight on who you are, how you got started in the business, because what you can remember, and what makes you passionate about staying in the business.
okay, okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. So, okay. Um,
Look, don't be nervous. You don't be nervous. You know how to do this. So
okay,
go ahead.
okay. So, okay. What's the first thing that you want me to start with? What should I tackle?
I would, if you, okay, put it like this. If you ever talked to your mom and she told you, how did you get into the business? Because I think you've been doing this so early on. A lot of it, like we talked about earlier, is it's kind of a blur.
Yeah.
Like you don't really know. So what was it that made you really say, look, this is something I want to do? I knew that when I was 3 years old, that I wanted to be a member of the Mickey Mouse Club, the 1977, right?
uh,
So I knew then that I had to be on that screen, that little small box. So for you, when did you know?
oh, okay, okay. That's a really good question because it's hard for me to pinpoint an exact moment, but I feel like it's like a multitude of moments, even like at my age now. Um, it might it might it might have started with my mom noticing just through my personality at that young age. From me just like watching a lot of movies that kids my age wouldn't normally have interest in. Like I at 6 years old, like I watched The Matrix for the first time, and it's my favorite, one of my favorite all time movies to this day. And I like understood, like I was locked into the story and all that, and my mom was just like, okay, let me just try and see what happens if I throw them in a class. And I think when I started going to classes, uh, it was like it was just like a fun thing I was doing, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm good at this. But at that age, I was just like, oh, this is just like fun. I'm just being able to be a bunch of different characters. Uh, but I guess as I got to later on in elementary school, it might have been when I started to get into musical theater and theater more that I was like, oh, this is like people like triple the times my age are still doing this, and it's like this is like a job that like you literally you don't have to retire and no one can force you to do that. So I think it started around there through my mom, and to this day I think I'm constantly like finding myself having those moments where I'm like is this really like my life? Getting to like work with people that I was like, wow, like the way the universe works, and how you just link up with certain people, and even you as a very 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 good example of that. I'm like, wow, it's crazy how time and just life works, and I'm incredibly 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 grateful that things panned out the way they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Uh, that makes sense.
Yeah. What's up? Director J. Jessa Smith is on. What's up, Jess? Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm seeing you doing a lot of new movies as well. Thank you, brother, for joining us. Um, I think I'm glad it did pan out. I think, like I said, I think I was probably the safest person on set to actually say something to you, like and I said this to you last night, but
Yeah.
at 9 years old, like one thing about Jared Seltzer is that he always had a very beautiful, plush, laid out buffet. And you were just on these famous chocolate chip cookies. And by like the third bag, you was bouncing off the walls. And I was like, one more, one more. And I
Yeah.
remember telling your mom, no more famous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leave that alone. But I think it to me, I always loved, young working with young kids who number one, I see the talent in, but also being able to watch and see where they go beyond that. And to watch your steps as you went, even from going from like doing independent projects to pilots to moving to Broadway, right? So you did Matilda, the
Yeah.
musical on Broadway. Tell me about that journey. What was it like?
Man, that feels like a separate life almost. No, that was probably one of my most like notable favorite jobs I got to do. Because I'm a kid who I didn't grow up in a musical theater environment. I'm not even that much into musicals as like plays or really I'm more of a film TV person than
Yeah.
than theater. But I do believe that I want to be the type of artist that does everything, and I enjoy being on the stage just as much. So for that, I think it was just the show and the story and the types of things that the kids got to do, because the kids pretty much ran that whole show, which was one of the most exciting things about it to me. So auditioning and doing the preparation for it and watching bootlegs before I even got the role, and I was obsessed with the show, and it's crazy that, and this is a true story, that I never saw the show before I got the part, which was like even crazier to me. So in the rehearsal process as like a 11, 12-year old, I was learning what it was about in the rehearsals and the music. I'm like, oh, this is better than I realized. And yeah, getting to grow up doing that show, and starting with the tour was a very unique a very unique way to get into it.
So let me
And that,
get
that
this right. You started with the tour of Matilda before it went to Broadway?
Yeah, so like I when I auditioned for it, they put me in the original tour in 2015, and then I left because I mean they wanted me to stay in the contract, but I don't think I really wanted to keep the every 2 weeks moving, and it's a lot. So I was like, unless they put me on Broadway, I was like, I think I'm ready to leave, as much as I love this show and all that. And I got a call like maybe 2, 3 months later after I left tour, and they were like, "We want you on Broadway," and I was like, "Whoa!"
Well, you know what? For those who don't know, the Broadway schedule can be very grueling. So how, at like 11, 12 years old, did you manage 8 shows a week?
Okay, that's a good question. For the kids, they have us and they have the swings. So we did 7 out of 8. So we would always have one show off, and uh Broadway schedule 8 p.m. And I was still going to school when I was on Broadway. So I would go to school in the morning, get up at 5 a.m., go to class for 8, leave school, eat lunch or dinner, and then go straight to the theater, get home at like midnight, and then repeat. And then for matinees, I would leave school early. And my school it just happened to be like 4 blocks from the theater because I went to school in Midtown. So
Which one?
I would just a PBAS.
Wow, I have a cousin who graduated professional performing
Yeah,
arts.
yeah,
I have a
really?
cousin who graduated from professional performing arts. I know the school
Wow,
well.
that's crazy. What?
Yeah,
Okay, that's dope. Yeah, yeah. What? See what I mean? It's like a small world.
it is.
Uh,
Very few people, although it looks like it's a lot of people that do what we do, it's really not.
wow.
You know, the circle is very small.
Yeah, yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But I'm sure PBS probably encouraged
Yeah,
that you did
that
that.
was like the best thing. They were incredibly supportive. And that's so rare, and it's weird for me now in college because it's a total opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
In middle high school, my PBAS, they wanted the kids to be out on location because it looked good on the school's part when they have kids that are on Broadway. And uh, my best friend, Chris Richards, he was on Broadway doing Finding Neverland at the same time. So it
Mm.
was like in my class, like 4 or 5 of us were just like all working. So the school they were very, very supportive. And we had tutors at the theater as well. So sometimes on the shows that we weren't performing, we'd be backstage with the tutor doing schoolwork. So that was like the trade off.
Ah, okay. So the tutors would be there to kind of help you with the homework from school
Yeah.
while the other kids went on for that particular show.
Yep.
So is
Yeah.
there, and just educate me and educate everyone who's watching. Was there any reason why? Was it the child labor laws that said you couldn't perform the eighth
Yeah.
show? Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's about it. Yeah. Like
Okay.
legally, children can't do 8. Uh, 8. But I feel like for us, 7 is crazy.
I'm sure. I'm sure. How long was that run on Broadway
The entire show.
for you?
Oh, for me, on Broadway, I started March. My first show was March 4th, 2016, and my last show was December 31st, 2016.
Wow. Okay. So you did almost a year.
Yeah, you know it's crazy. Uh, the week of Thanksgiving, we had 11 shows, so we had three matinees for 3 days, like 3 consecutive days. So 2, 2, 2, and then the regular schedule. So I think we did like 10 shows that week. And that's I like looking back at that, I'm like, what? Like,
Why?
yeah,
But it's almost like, yo, I could do it again.
yeah,
Right? You know,
yeah,
I can do that again.
yeah.
Let's talk about the last OG.
Oh,
The last OG. How did you book the last OG? What was that like?
how did I book last? Okay, that's a funny story. I originally had auditioned for Tracy Morgan's son originally, and I didn't get the part, and they had called me back, and they were like, "Oh, we have another part that he could," because I guess they liked me for my audition, but you know how it goes. You gotta look like the people who play your parents, and
Yeah, yeah.
it gets beyond your performance with that. So they're like, "Yeah, we think that he could play the younger version of the cousin or the," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and I think I read for the sides for that, and wow, that was so long ago. I guess not too long later, I got the call that they're like, "Yeah, we wanted to be in the last OG to play young Bobby," and I was like, "What? Okay." I was down. I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that was and and getting to actually do a scene with Tracy was like, I think part of me was at the time I was a little starstruck when when I got on set, because it wasn't like a formal like, oh, nice
So,
to meet you, now let's go.
so let me ask, where did you remember Tracy Morgan from? Because I know you're younger. So like, where did you remember? How did you know Tracy Morgan was Tracy Morgan?
Uh, I guess like growing up, I would see him, on TV. He would be on like little like when you're like your TV's on and there'll be a movie on and you don't know what movie it is, but you know the people if you
Right.
really like. So
Yeah.
I knew his face immediately, his voice. He's a standout. So there was a movie with Ice Cube, I think, at the time where I was like where him and Ice Cube were, and I don't remember what the title was, but I was
Yeah.
like, I remember he was hilarious in that because I watched a little bit of it. And then I remember when 30 Rock was airing, I would always see his face up on there.
I auditioned
And
for 30 Rock
what?
4 times.
Really?
I came close once, maybe twice, I believe. And one time it was between me and another guy,
What?
but it was like 4 different roles I went in there for.
Wow.
Yeah, this was at NBC.
What? That's
So that
insane.
show, they would kept bringing me back, and Trey Lawson, God bless him. Trey Lawson actually understood. He saw my comedic, my comedy, so
Yeah.
he was able to understand how to present me. So I went in there about 4 times, but yeah, 30 Rock lasted a long time. I thought it would be 30 Rock that you would remember me
Yeah.
from. But me, my first introduction to Tracy Morton was Martin.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Wow. He was he was he was very young on Martin.
yeah,
I've seen some like throwback clips, and that was like early in his career.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
absolutely.
Wow, that's
So,
insane.
what was that experience like actually working with him on set?
It was extremely fun. He's like the way that he is on his interviews and on TV and off camera, it's no different. I think that was one of my favorite things about it. I remember we were shooting the pilot of it, and like literally the first scene of the pilot that I was in, and it was a flashback scene. So we had like fake cornrows in, and he was like dressed like that era, and the scene he literally comes out of like a project building, comes down the stairs, and he's like, "Hey, Bobby, who's better, Michael or Vito, Godfather?" And I had like a little moment where I'm talking to him, and I remember right before we shot, I sit down in my spot. They tell me to before so we could come through, and he comes out, and I think I was a little nervous because I didn't want to like turn around and be like, "Hold on, nice to meet you." So I was like, "Okay."
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
We got a note. We got a professional note. A professional note from the mom in charge. Wait a minute, professional note. Remember when Jordan Peele showed up during craft services?
oh my
Did
god.
that happen?
Yes, yes, and I still regret that moment to this day
Why?
because so during like lunch or something, I was waiting in line to get my food, and I was just no one's talking to me. I'm just looking around, just chilling, and I noticed Jordan Peele just walked by because he was one of the showrunners or producers. I can't remember, but
Mhm.
he was involved in the show heavily, and he just happened to be walking through, and I stood there, I froze, and I was like, that's Jordan Peele. Like in my head, I was like, that's Jordan Peele. And I wanted to like, I didn't. So the thing is, I didn't want to be like, hey, Jordan, I'm Meliki, because at that age, I didn't have that. Nowadays, I think I'm fairly good at like just
Networking, like the whole, yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
at that age, I was still shy when it came to that. So I just froze because I was starstruck, and I don't get starstruck by a lot of people.
right,
And I was like,
right.
wow. I was like, wow. And he just kept walking, and right after that, I told my mom, I was like, I just saw Jordan Peele walk by. And she was like, where? And he was gone. And I was like, she's like, you didn't say nothing. I was like, no, I froze.
Look, she gotta let you up the hook, man. I've had those moments where I've been starstruck. before. So
Yeah,
I get it. And you you want to maintain your professionalism,
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
I'm a professional.
yeah.
I just say, how are you, Mr. Peel, and keep going.
Oh my god, it's crazy because I nowadays I would be like I can think of thousands of questions or just being like
Yeah.
what's the next movie plot?
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like I'm like I think I'm a fan and also like at the end of the day, you gotta put yourself out there. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And believe it or not, if you're really doing your job the way you're supposed to do it, people already seeing you, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's good when people you go to introduce yourself and people say, "Hey, I know who you are. I've been watching you. I heard about you."
Wow.
It lands differently. It
Wow.
just lands completely differently.
Yeah.
So I want to move on. So let's talk the
Okay.
Equalizer.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. How was working on the Equalizer for you?
That that was really fun.
Mm.
I think it happened at the perfect time for me because as a teenager in
Now, were
audition,
you still in professional performing arts at the time when that happened?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So at the time, I wasn't. It was pretty quiet for me for a while with auditions. And I think I was a junior or a junior in high school, or yeah. And I was. It's just I had auditioned for it, and it was one of those auditions where I was like, oh, this character feels extremely close to how I am in real life. So reading it, I was like, okay, just gonna do it like this way, and okay, I'm walking down the street and I'm just talking about my neighborhood like this is easy. And I sent it in, and I remember they had me between one or two other people or something like that. It was one of those things like you're on hold and they're trying to decide between you and a few other boys. And I was like, okay, not gonna put too much thought into it because sometimes you hear that and it's like, oh, someone else. Uh,
Right. Like that
and
call where you go, "Oh, you've been released."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like that. That comes more often than actually.
Sometimes
So
one time I would try to psych myself out. Like, look, are you gonna call me because I'm busy? Did I get it or no?
yeah,
Don't have me on hold. I got things to do.
right,
Try to
yeah, yeah,
play
but
it off like, okay. I was busy anyway. Then you cry inside, like.
yeah, no, yeah, but working on it was extremely fun. Uh, it was so much fun. I think I was cracking up because reading the script, I was like, oh, so I not only do I get to be a guest star, but I get to get killed off. I literally have a whole scene where I get shot, and I've never done that before yet. Well, at the time, yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like how are they gonna shoot that? Like, am I gonna have blood and what's that gonna look like? Like, it's crazy as an actor what you think of, what you get excited about
Yeah,
in
yeah,
those
yeah.
contexts. But yeah, that was so much fun to shoot. And Benny Boom was the director of the episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that was so cool to me to like just like be directed by him. Because he's involved with so many early in his career,
Yeah.
music videos and all that. So I was like, it was almost inspiring to me as well. Because I'm like, wow, he's crossing all these different mediums
Absolutely.
seamlessly. um,
And
so yeah,
I think a lot of people don't understand. Like that's kind of what we all have to do. We can't all just wear one hat.
yeah,
You know, yes, you're in front of the screen, but there's money to be made all over the place, in front, behind the camera.
exactly,
But
yeah.
before we get into your rap career and you writing music and all that stuff,
Uh-huh.
I'm really interested on your series,
Okay.
Dipshit.
Yeah.
Let me to my audience, that's the young man's title. Is Dip. So
Yeah.
you have to explain to the people what exactly is Dipshits.
Uh-huh.
How did you? What was the concept behind it?
Mm-hmm.
And why is this your passion project?
Okay. This is a good question.
Shout out to Jane. I gotta take a commercial break. Shout out to Jane Gruten. Jane, thank you for stopping by and joining us tonight. You can go to her page, check out All Things Natural Hair. Continue.
Okay. Hi, Jane. um, yeah. How did it come to be? Basically, it was not something I planned to continue, which was really exciting. Um, when I was a freshman in college, I had a final assignment where we could create anything we wanted. It was a film. It was a experimental film class, and I hated it. And this was the one assignment where we didn't have to make it abstract or experimental. And I was like, yes, I can finally make something narrative. And it was like 2 or 3 weeks before the end of the semester, and I was like, in my class, I was like, okay, I want to make a short film. I don't want to do something that's like, I want to really go all out for the end of this class. And I basically was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, and literally in a week, I was like, just come up. I want to do something comedic. I knew that off the bat because uh, auditioning for forever, I'm like, okay, the dramatic stuff is like 85% of what comes in for me. And I want something, I want to change the pace. I don't want anything trauma related. I just want something where it's like some Seth Rogen type comedy type of film. Cause it's like a dream thing I have on my bucket list of like, I want to do some Seth Rogen type movie.
Yeah.
That's, um, and I was like, okay, took me a week. I wrote out 7-page script, and I was like, okay. And I knew in the top of my head, I was like, I know exactly who I want to play these characters. And one of them is my best friend, and another one is one of my close friends as well. And my other friend who is a little older than me, and I was like, he has to be my big brother. I've known him for years. And everyone just happened to be on board with it when I sent them the script, and I was like, I want to shoot this in one day. And we shot it in one day, and in the plot, to your question, sorry to go on a tangent, but
No.
the idea is that it was me, two best friends, and it's like a Friday morning, and we're like, okay, my parents are out for the weekend, and I want to throw a party. Like, let's throw a party and invite all our friends and go all out. And my big brother happens to have his girlfriend coming over, and he's like, yo, dipshits, y'all gotta go. And that's where I came up with the title, because when I wrote it, I didn't have a title yet, and I just had a line where I wrote where he's like, yo, dipshits, y'all gotta go. And I was like, dipshits. I was like, that has a ring to it. I stuck with it. And without giving too much away, we clash, because we're like, okay, you're kicking us out, but we want to throw a party. And that dynamic between me and the brother is kind of like the catapult into the series. And I screened it for my class, and they loved it. And summer came by last year, and I was like, okay, I don't know when I'm gonna post this or share it. And I have it in a private file. And a couple months ago, I was screening it for a different class now that I'm a sophomore, and I had asked people, I was like, would you want to see this as a full feature or a series? And majority of the responses I got was series. And I was like, huh, okay. I thought about it some more, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to me. And I was like, okay, I like the series idea.
Right.
And I guess like a month or so ago, or 2 months ago, I was like, let me write another episode, and maybe I'll do like 3 to 4 episodes for the first season, 10-minute episodes, and just get the episodes of the first season out there.
So how many episodes in the season? How many episodes you have done so far, and how many episodes actually shot?
Oh, okay, good questions. First episode is done. That was what we already shot a year ago, and that's all we have shot so far. I have episode 2 and 3 scripts drafted. Episode 2 pretty much done. Episode 3 I have to touch up. And we're planning on shooting this June, possibly May, June, but summer. And July 1st, I'm gonna release the episodes.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I hope you would consider also, looking into festivals too.
Yeah, I honestly want
Get
to.
that going.
Yeah, my mom was just telling me that a couple of days ago, because I have so much faith in it, and I'm like, I want it to reach the masses. So that's actually,
I think the dope thing about it is that you're going to shoot it, and if it goes into selected the festivals, then you can go and actually get on, have a platform for people to get to know who you are as an artist, and as now a producer, um,
crazy.
and have them get to know what your journey is and your process is to creating that series. So I'm super proud of you
Thank you.
when it comes to that.
Thank
You know,
you. Thank
I
you.
think you're ahead of the game as far as, you know, understanding that you just can't be one thing in this industry, and you have
Yeah.
to wear many hats, and enjoy the process. You know, I
Yeah.
believe that I believe that the best way to approach anything in this business is from the seed of a student, and as long as you remain a student, open and ready to learn,
Mm-hmm.
then you will master a lot of different areas in this business, you know, and be able to have them be able to do it humbly, you know,
Yeah.
because you approach everything like just like a student, ready like a sponge, ready to absorb
Yeah.
it and learn it, you know.
Yeah.
So what is your expectation for Dipshits?
My expectation in my brain right now, it's to shoot everything in time for that's the main thing right now. But my expectation, I want it to blow up. I want it to I would love for it to get some grant money to put more. I mean, if I have the budget behind it, I can make longer episodes and maybe even have a network. But I do want to make sure that I still have creative control. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to Dave Chappelle me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of people out there,
Yeah.
man. So does the music and is it relative to Dipshits? Like, is the music that you are making kind of go with the show?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of pretty much all the music soundtrack score is going to be a lot of music from me, from friends of mine, and I think that's one of my most proud aspects to it, because a lot of people spend lots of money on composers and having, you can't use other people's music, without getting permission. So that's like one of the biggest obstacles that I'm glad I could like sidestep,
Yeah,
because I'm like,
yeah.
instrumentals, and it works because the feel of the show, I wanted to have that New York 90s inspired, but very like hip hop feel to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of my favorite aspects about it. Just looking at the first episode alone.
Yeah. And you plan on scoring the whole thing yourself?
I mean, my one of my close friends, Amar, he produces majority of my music, and
Mhm.
I've been in talks with him about scoring it, and he's totally on board. But in terms of music or songs that like I'm rapping on and stuff, yes, yeah, for sure, yeah. You'll definitely catch it when you're watching it, and yeah. I'm excited to look through all the songs and be like, okay, where does this fit? Does this fit this scene well enough, or because I'm the only
I
person.
believe that we creatively, you know, we creatively put our stamp on everything that
Yeah.
we create. You know, like no matter who sings a Babyface song, you always know that it's written by Babyface.
Ah.
Whether it's the melody or something, will say, nah, that sounds like Babyface song.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through my 5 questions that I ask
Oh
everyone
yeah.
I have on, right? And you can feel free to answer it however you like,
Okay.
right? Take as much time as you want to, okay? So let me ask you the first question. What do you think you know now compared to what you might have thought the industry was coming in?
Say it one more time.
What have you discovered or learned now at this age? right? So you great move into your 20s now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So throughout being in the industries as young as you were to this point, what are the things that you've learned?
Hmm. That's a deep question. Um, it could be a lot of things. Okay. I think that it would be for the first one that, oh, I was just talking about this, that it's smaller than you realize. So treat everyone the same. Like, be kind, be a good person, because you can be talented and you can be a great artist, but if you're a pain in the ass to work with, you're not gonna be hired. That's
Yep.
like one of my favorite ones, because I know what it's like to work with people that I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
like, why they, out of all people, they had to cast, or you're like, oh, it's like it makes like the energy on set, like you're like, ah, it really does affect the project. And I think it took me a while to notice that, like, it affects the work. Like when the chemistry is so important, and if something is making that off balance, that just throws everything off. Um, that's one that really has settled into me. I think having a balance of just having a balance of when you're at work and letting yourself take everything in.
Yeah.
Like, there's things that I accomplish currently that people have to like remind me, like you realize that you've done this, and you don't, you gotta like post about it, you gotta share these things, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, I guess you're right, because no one's gonna know, you know, unless you make it known. I guess that's on the marketing aspect of like
Yeah.
of that, and then also on a personal aspect of like, I don't, taking the pressure off of like, oh, um, and I think that can go hand in hand with looking at what other people are doing or where other people's journeys are at, and being like, hold up, I'm like, I'm I'm on my, this is my lane, and that's their lane, and what's wherever I'm going is wherever I'm going, and I don't have to waste
There you
time
go.
trying to predict where it's gonna go, because you'll never know, you'll never get it right how you predict it. It's always gonna happen the way that you never see it coming, and I think that's the way it should be, because I don't want to know what's coming.
Yeah.
I want to just
Like I
like,
said, you're ahead of the eight ball. You know, it's good you discovering this now, early.
yeah,
So usually my next question is, um, what would you tell your 19-year-old self? But since you're already 19,
yeah.
I'm going to have to say, what advice do you give yourself to stay motivated in those days when you feel like giving up?
Hmm. Uh, that's a good question. I guess it would be. I think about the why I started doing it in the first place. Uh, the why, and I'll uh I'll look up, inspirational videos, or like quotes that kind of will send to me, and um yeah, the why, like, why, when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, like, how the way that I approached it at that age, and the freedom I had, and it wasn't about how much money, or money at all. It was just like getting to just work and play for a job, if that makes sense. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I always have to remember. And there's only one you. I think that's like one of the best things too. Like, no one can play you. No one can create characters. Like, no one can make art like you. It's always gonna be, you know, everyone has their own juice.
Right.
That's like the way
Everyone
I
has their
get
own
it.
juice. Everyone has their own lane.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
So, what would you want people to remember you for? What would you want them to take away from you? If I worked with you on set, I did work with you on
Yeah.
set. But but for those who who have within the recent years, what would you want just would the takeaway be? What would it be like to work with Meliki Hurd?
Ooh, these are like deep questions. Okay. Um, can you just say it one more time so I can like?
what what do you want the Meliki Hurd experience to be from people who have worked and will potentially work with you down the road? What would you want that to be?
I think I would want it to. I guess I'd want people to feel like they're. Hmm. It's there. I'm like, how do I put this into words? Um, I think I want people to feel like 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 it just hits them like when they're done, like when they're leaving set, like whoa, like I just like the I think the environment is like the is what I'm trying to get at. Like I want people to feel like the way that I feel if I got to work with Spike or Jordan Peele or anyone that I look up to. I think I want people to be like, wow, that was better than what I imagined it would be like. Like
You want
there's like
people to leave away inspired?
yeah. I think I want people to feel like they can do whatever they were convincing themselves not to do because they don't know if it'll work out or but like whenever they're around me, I want it to be like, oh, that was my reassurance, like that. Like anytime I'm around them, like that's anything feels like anything feels like it's all like it's all possible.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
What
yeah.
what
That was
brings you joy?
what brings me joy. Um, what brings me joy? A lot of things. Food. Good
What kind
vibe.
of food? What kind
What
of
kind
food?
of food? I eat everything. So maybe like the top of my head, I just thought of empanadas for some reason.
Empanadas.
Empanadas, burritos. I love Mexican food. Um, what else? I eat like literally everything. Maybe I love like you already know like I love junk food. um, what else? I mean, I love staying in shape. I'm trying to make that a habit. Staying in shape. I love people with good intentions. People,
Yeah.
genuine people. I like having those type of people around me. And I think I love like just being in a place where I could just like where like the energy of just like it just feels like there's a lot of creative energy that radiates when I'm in a room with people that I'm inspired by, or people that make me feel like, oh wow, like now I want to go make something. I want to like create something. I think those are moments where I'm like happiest and maybe family, friends, yeah.
What are you grateful for?
Uh, so many things. I think I'm grateful for my upbringing, like my parents, my mom, because a lot of what happens in my life right now is it all goes back to really when I was like before I could even talk. A lot of things that were set up for me 16, 17 years ago. I'm just now noticing things that date back to then that like that I'm good at or that I'm being the opportunities are coming forward from. I think I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for uh, my circle, my I think just my village, if that makes sense. Like, and that's what keeps me grounded, and that's what keeps me uh wanting more, because I never want to feel like there's nothing else to go after, or yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
to be stagnant.
yeah, you got to keep pushing. You know, just like it's like one time, one if something ends, something else has to begin.
Yes.
You know, it's like you always, you know, I don't believe in, and I never wanted to compete with other people. You know,
Uh-huh.
one of my reasons for even starting the show is because I wanted to, my soul wanted to uplift and encourage and inspire and root for other people.
Mm.
And I believe that my biggest competition is only with myself,
Yeah.
nobody else, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
once, and if you look at everything that we do as a challenge, once you've kind of, you know, have kind of passed that challenge and you accomplished that something, you move on to the next thing. Like it gets harder and harder as you go along, and you want to reach higher, right? So
Yeah.
we always want to be around people um, who are good at the things that we want to be good at, because
Yes.
in that
Yeah.
way we learn from them. Again, going back to what I say as like approaching everything as a student,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and absorbing as much information from people that you possibly can, because then you are able to pass it on, right?
Yeah.
So I think if I was to give you any advice, I would say to, and we talked about this last night,
Mhm.
protect yourself always.
Yeah.
Stay prayed up always, but also be open enough to pass it on to the next
Mm.
person that's coming behind you that may need it as well, right?
Yeah.
Because my story is not your story, and your story won't be their story, but we have to allow for the space for that story to be told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
There. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Malachi, thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank
joining
you.
me tonight. I appreciate it. Once again, I'm proud of you. Mom in charge, I know you're still listening. Thank you. We will talk. We need to get up and do coffee or something. Maybe
Yeah.
have a drink of wine. Not you,
Oh.
Mom in charge. Drink of wine. But me and you can get up too, Malcolm. Me and you can get up too. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Let me know and we'll do it. We'll go out for like, I don't know, frappuccinos or something.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I want to say thank you. I'm super proud of you. I'm looking forward to what you are going to bless the world with, because
Oh,
it's all at your fingertips,
thank
right? And remember, you have a voice, you have a history, you have a legacy, and you have a high responsibility to give that to the world in the most creative way possible. Creative way possible.
you. Mm, thank you.
All
Wow.
right. So until next time, my brother, enjoy your night.
Thank
And to
you.
everyone that's listening, thank you for joining me on this episode of Phil John's VIP. I'm gonna see you guys next time.
Peace
Peace out.
out.